In this video, we are going to go over one of the most infamous mechs of the original technical readout 3025. Derided by many, but embraced by a few, this Battlemech has nonetheless been a part of the armed forces of the Federated Suns for many years. Without further delay, let us begin looking over Kalon Industries' Jagermech. A heavy mech weighing in at 65 tons, the Jagermech is one of multiple attempts by multiple parties to replace the venerable but necessary design of the Rifleman. The designers at Kalon decided that the Rifleman had a heat problem, an armor problem, and lacked enough ammunition to stay in the field for a protracted period of time. The Jagermech was originally meant to solve all of these problems, and it does indeed solve two of them, if in an unsatisfactory way, which we will cover later. Designed for long-range direct fire support as well as for anti-aircraft duties, the Jagermech is a favorite of the Federated Suns, and sees some usage, often through having been captured by the Capellan Confederation. The results of its deployments, however, have been mixed, with some units even being reluctant to field the Jagermech after being put in difficult combat situations that have not been ideal for the machine. All the same, since its debut in 2774, the Jagermech has seen service in the Inner Sphere, battling fellow successor states, clan invaders, and religious fanatics. For better or for worse, this is one of the swords in the armory of the Federated Suns. The original production model of the Jagermech is the JM6-S, which, as mentioned prior, attempted to solve the issues with the Rifleman. It is powered by a Magna 260 standard engine, giving it a top speed of 64.8 km per hour, or 6 movement points in the tabletop game. This is also the standard speed for most heavies and mediums in the game, and is acceptable strategically for the mech to move this fast, and for its weight, it is not a tactical burden. It possesses 10 standard heat sinks, as most of its weapons are munitions based. This is typically satisfactory for heat sinking ability. For weapons, the controversies begin. The JM6-S does indeed solve the Rifleman's heat issues by removing the large lasers, and instead replacing them with a pair of Myrmidon Model D light cannons, or AC-2s, in-game. These weapons may shoot further than the large lasers, but collectively, the two cannons weigh more and do half the damage of a single large laser, together. It also comes with twin Myrmidon Model C medium autocannons, or AC-5s, which are on par with its progenitor, the Rifleman. Finally, it has two Magna Mark II medium lasers, giving it some ability to fight back at close range. Overall, despite being heavier, and despite dedicating more weight to its weapons, the Jagermech has a lower damage output on average than the Rifleman, even as it tries to run cooler by not firing both of its lasers. For protection, the Jagermech is the least armored heavy mech in the game, with an absolutely unacceptable 6 tons of armor, leaving it dangerously underprotected. Ironically, since it solves the ammunition issues the Rifleman faced, it possesses ammunition in each of its torsos, leaving it extremely exposed to dangerous, if not catastrophic, ammunition explosions under even minimum fire due to its extremely sparse armor plating. The Jagermech is less armored than the Rifleman, a mech which is questionably able to defend itself in this respect. It can perform anti-air duties to an acceptable degree, but in a direct fire role, it underperforms against the unit it was meant to replace. It does have ammunition for its AC-5 autocannons in a relatively large volume for its weight, but unfortunately exposes itself to dramatically more danger due to its limited armor as a result. It may have long-range standoff weapons, but it doesn't do enough damage and is not fast enough to prevent its targets from closing with it. It is a mech which solves the problems of the RFL series in some ways, but did so by creating far more pronounced weaknesses and ensuring that should it face any real resistance, it can rapidly be degraded and destroyed as a result. This isn't to say there haven't been multiple attempts to remedy this, by both new technology and even during the Succession Wars, however. The JM6-A is a significant redesign from 2778, only 4 years after the original production run itself. This model replaces both AC-5s with a pair of LRM-15s. It adds 2 tons of additional armor with the weight saved. This results in a design that has a higher damage output, though less ammunition for the launchers per shot, and also provides the Jagermech with badly needed defensive plating. Overall, in my eyes, this is a dramatic improvement, though sadly there were only ever 2 production runs of this design, making it very rare. The JM6-DD is a design produced just in time for the clan invasion, and supposedly was somewhat successful in participating in the campaigns during the clan invasion. I say this because I'm of the overall opinion that this is a disastrous mech in most respects. It would be outfitted with a Magna 260 XL engine in order to save weight, though this dramatically reduces the mech's durability due to having a higher risk of engine death. It would have 0.5 tons more armor, and upgrade this to ferrofibrous, making it still dramatically underprotected. It has more ammunition installed on board for the AC-2s, and would upgrade its autocannons to Ultra AC-5s, and would upgrade its medium lasers to pulse lasers. In theory, this does more damage, however, upon losing one torso, the mech is immediately disabled. Worse yet, it has more ammunition, making it more likely to be destroyed by a critical hit. Dramatically more likely to be destroyed by a critical hit at that. It does possess a case for the ammunition explosions, but these explosions will still immediately knock out the vehicle due to the ammunition still being housed next to the huge XL engine that it has on board. The JM6-DD is better than the JM6-S outside of, ironically, survivability. This mech is at best a walking disaster waiting to happen, and at worst a death trap. It was sent off to battle the clan invasion. The pilots of this mech were braver than their peers by simply being in this mech. The final variant that we'll be covering is a model which was deployed by the periphery, specifically the Marian hegemony. It would replace the entirety of the weapons loadout for 2 large lasers and 2 LBX-2 autocannons, and 6 rocket launcher 15s. Rocket launchers being for the most part a unique weapon system to the Marian hegemony. It also has 10 tons of ferrofibrous armor on board, making it extremely well protected for a Jagermech, and it has 10 double heat sinks, allowing it to fire its main guns without risking overheating. This variant, though it may have some shortcomings, is most definitely a dramatic departure from its cousins in survivability and in terms of its weapons output. The Jagermech is a mech that feels like a poor replacement for the mech it was aiming to replace. Rife with its own problems, it is still a competent anti-air vehicle, even if it suffers in a direct fire support role, one of the main roles that was expected of it. Even more fragile than the Rifleman in all of its forms, and even more likely to suffer catastrophic failures, and to be put into horrific, compromised campaigns and positions across its service in the Inner Sphere, it is hard to consider this workhorse of the Federated Sons to be anything but a mech that happens to be there, rather than to be a desired, capable piece of equipment. It is only redeemed by its low cost in C-bills, and for players, by its low battle value. It's as if the designers asked themselves in its conceptual phase, what if we made the Rifleman, but worse? Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. There is also a YouTube member program to support this channel as well, and I appreciate the support from members immensely. With that, I will catch all of you in the comment section below.